Today, we're going to take a look at the Alchemical Tarot of Marsaille. This is the Alchemical Tarot of Marsaille, created by Robert Place. It is an interpretation of the French tarot that references alchemy and the Hermetic texts. It comes with a small guidebook, to the point, succinct, and pretty much everything you'll need to know to interpret these cards, including their alchemical symbolism and the references to the Hermetic texts. The cards are a little larger than most tarot decks. This is a standard Rider-Waite card, so you can see they're a bit wider, slightly taller, so they're pretty big in your hand. They are, however, made of beautiful and sturdy paper. They're gilded gold on the edge. Beautiful artwork on the back of Hermes. The only downside of this is that when you are shuffling and drawing, you will know if a card is going to come up reversed. Let's take a look at some of the artwork. We have the Magician. You can see that the colors and the characters held within the artwork are pretty familiar. If you are familiar at all with the Marsaille deck, or if you are familiar with the Rider-Waite Smith deck, you'll notice a lot of similarities. One thing that is really nice about this deck is that the artwork is consistent in quality and thematically throughout. So the deck has a really cohesive feel to it. You're going to see on the cards that for the majors, they're in French, but if you're familiar with the tarot, they're numbered. You should be able to quickly and easily figure out what you're looking at. I think the court cards also have their names in French. You'll see on the majors the alchemical symbol, and there is a little quote from the Hermetic writings. Some of you may find that distracting. I actually like it. I think it adds to the richness of the symbolism on the card and helps you get to know this deck and what the intent for this deck is. So one of the things that a Marsaille deck brings is a series of pips. The minors are not fully illustrated, but they are not devoid of illustration either. What I found interesting about this deck and the minors, because I was a little bit reticent to get a deck without illustrated minors. What I loved about this deck was the reference that is made to the traditional symbolism on the Rider-Waite deck. You can see that right here with the Nine of Swords. Everyone's going to recognize that if you're at all familiar with the Nine of Swords from a Smith-Waite deck. Also, something like this. This is the Six of Batons or Wands. And if you look at the Six of Wands in the Smith-Waite deck, you can see he's wearing the laurel crown. There's a laurel crown here on one of the wands. And you can see down here, the little bust of the statue here is wearing a laurel crown. So this is the card of victory or good news or success. And you see the reference made here. So you're not just left with six wands or six batons trying to figure out what they mean. There is a clue. And I found some of these cards really, really clever in the way that they incorporate symbolism from the more familiar Rider-Waite deck so that you're not sort of left in the dark. I particularly loved this one. This is the Seven of Swords. And here's the Seven of Swords from the Rider-Waite Smith deck. And I thought this was great. This is the sly, sneaky fox. And you've got this sort of sly, sneaky guy here who's snuck into the enemy's camp and, you know, is running off with their weaponry, with their swords. So there are lots of little clues like this on the minor arcana, on the pips cards, that help you make the connection back to the more familiar Rider-Waite deck. All in all, this is a beautiful deck. The quality is beautiful. It's large size, nice paper stock. I was a little bit concerned about whether or not they would shuffle easily because they are larger and they are heavier weight, but they're shuffling nicely. So I'm happy about that. So I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope that you'll check out the Alchemical Tarot of Marsaille.